welcome back to my channel. This is Spring Porter with Spring Solutions LLC. If you're new to my channel, welcome. In this video, I'm going to be discussing 5 difficult things that I found with bankruptcy unclaimed funds, and I'm going to be giving you 5 things that I find to be easy when dealing with bankruptcy unclaimed funds. So if you're interested in hearing about these things, please stay tuned. Please note that I am not an attorney. This information is not indicated as legal advice. Before I get into that, I wanted to give a shout out to those that commented on my last video and also sent me emails. I discussed briefly about one of the struggles that I was dealing with at the beginning of the year was setting boundaries. And some of you, responded and say, hey, yeah, I'm going through that too, or this is the situation that I'm dealing with. It's good to know that you're not alone when you're dealing with personal things and personal growth and development and things like that. So I appreciate the feedback that you guys emailed me. It's good to know that I'm not alone in that. And if you haven't seen that, or maybe you're dealing with that and you're new to my channel, you can take a look at the video that I did previously just discussing setting boundaries and how important that is. So the first thing that I wanted to go over on the difficult side of doing bankruptcy unclaimed funds is just that bankruptcy can be difficult to understand. It's a whole legal chapter, like a whole course taught in law school on bankruptcy unclaimed funds. And when I took the paralegal program, again, I'm not licensed to practice law, but I did work for lawyers for about 10 years, in case you're new to my channel. I took the bankruptcy or the paralegal program years ago at Kennesaw State University in Georgia, and they had a good paralegal program. And I remember there was a whole course on like bankruptcy and like legal collections, and it can be really difficult to understand all the different petitions and the chapters and knowing, the ins and outs. And so that is another thing, that can be difficult for someone who's just starting out with bankruptcy unclaimed funds. But the flip side of that is you're only doing the unclaimed fund portion of it. So again, that is what I break down in detail in the program that I have. If you're interested, you can click the link in the description box. And I also go over general information on my channel. But another thing that's difficult about that is you're having to relay certain information to your client. And again, that is difficult. Even though they went through the process of filing bankruptcy, they don't always know everything about it. They don't always know why there are funds available or how it works exactly. They may not know all the ins and outs. And that's one thing that I did realize when I worked for a bankruptcy attorney. I know that they spend time explaining it to the client, but some things people just don't understand. And they're so stressed as it is with dealing with financial situations, and they're trying to get people from calling them and stop their home to go in foreclosure. They really don't have the capacity to understand every single step. All they really want to know is, hey, can these people just stop calling me? Can you just handle that? And that's really what it comes down to. So I'm saying all that to say it can be difficult to understand bankruptcy as a whole and maybe explain certain things to your client. So that's maybe one difficult thing. Number 2 is skip tracing, locating people. You can use the greatest software, you can pay for it. It may not always have accurate information. And let's face it, if someone's facing foreclosure or facing a really hard, financial hardship, they may be living with family members on a couch or in a spare room. They may not have their own, contact information yet. It may not be updated yet. You may not have access to knowing exactly where they're living or whose family or that they're with. So sometimes locating people, that's probably the hardest thing that I find. I understand bankruptcy because I worked for an attorney and I worked for a credit union, so I understand it full circle. But skip tracing can be difficult because some people are just not wanting to be found. It's hard to people fall off the grid and they're living with someone in a basement. You're not going to always know that. So that's the biggest thing. The biggest hurdle is trying to figure out where people are. Once you figure that out, it's pretty easy after that. Another thing, again, is speaking to the general public. Again, they're always leery. You run into all walks of life, as I stated before. You don't know who you're going to get on the other side of the phone. When you're calling them, they could be in the middle of sleep. They could be in the middle of, doing tasks or working or on a lunch break, and they really don't have time. So just speaking to the general public, and then you're also trying to relay them a message dealing with a bankruptcy case that's kind of like the lowest point maybe in their life that they don't want to talk about. So you just have to keep all this in mind. It's not always easy to speak to the general public, even if you're just relaying like, hey, you have money. There's always people that are going to be skeptical. And sometimes you just have to really like relay the message and make sure that you're speaking in a professional manner to them and trying to basically break down the process to them the best that you can. And that's part of selling yourself to your clients, selling your services that I can't really teach you. Nobody can really teach you that. It's kind of a knack that you have to have, the gift of gab, the gift of selling yourself. I can give you a script, which I do provide in the program, but the rest is really up to you. You have to bring your personality to it and what you, how you sell yourself, how you speak to people. Another thing that's on this list that can be difficult is dealing with the clerks. The clerks, overall, that position is, any clerk, a filing clerk, bankruptcy clerk, whether you're dealing with state overages or real estate, those are probably revolving positions that are usually open. They're not really high paying. And they do go through, a lot of people maybe throughout the year or every few years, they probably rotate them. So dealing with them is not always easy. Some people may be new to the job. They don't really know exactly what you're talking about. Sometimes it's hard to find the actual financial clerk that you really need to speak with. Sometimes, and I've called different districts for different reasons, and it's not always so easy to find that main number. They kind of give you a general number like it's on a dialer, and it's like you're on hold waiting, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, and that's really frustrating. So whenever you do research and you do find like an email address, that may be a quicker way to reach out to them, I found. So again, dealing with clerks and the whole court system can be difficult at times. The last thing on the difficult list is trusting people. And what I mean by that, trusting, you have to trust your clients that, hey, you're speaking to them and you've told them and they want to work with you. And then you have to trust them to say, hey, give me the documents back that I need. And you're trusting them to be who exactly they say they are. So if they filed, bankruptcy, you're expecting them to be exactly who they are, and not like, doing any kind of fraud or a mistaken identity type of situation. Because again, the courts are going to ask for the IDs and they're going to make sure they match the signatures and all of that. That's something that's going on behind the scenes. But again, it's a trust. You're building trust to someone in the general public for a service. They have no idea who you are. But just keep all that in mind when you're doing this. That's why having a website helps. Having maybe a Yelp page helps. Having a Facebook page may help, so that people can see that you're a real person. And that may help you kind of get your point across. Having professional looking, not software, but stationery. So your letters and your envelopes and things like that, that can help you. Professional email, things like that. So that can hopefully kind of ease their level of not believing you. So all of that is on the difficult side. The easier side of things, I find, the number one thing is federal rules. So bankruptcy is under the umbrella of a federal rule. And even though there are different state differences slightly here and there, for the most part, you're dealing with the same type of forms, which I like. So there is more uniformity when dealing with bankruptcy unclaimed funds than dealing with regular state funds and all of those other different genres of unclaimed funds and overages, which is what I like. Number two, you get the funds directly. Again, that's the process that I teach you. That's what I like. I don't like having to work. I don't work state funds, and I don't like having to like chase after people to say, hey, I did my job. You need to pay me now. And you're running after them, maybe threatening a lawsuit to try to get them to pay you. With this process that I teach you, again, you're getting the funds directly, which is always a plus. So you take out your portion and you give the rest to the client, which is great. Number three, what I like about, or what's easy about bankruptcy unclaimed funds is finding out the informations and the laws on what you're doing. Again, federal cases, federal laws are easy to locate. State funds are also easy to locate. But again, there's a more of a uniformity there. It's easily written out. Most of it is out there for the public if you know where to look and you know where to search. You know how to do like legal research and searching dockets and all those types of things. It's easy for you to find the information. Now, the whole process completely from beginning to end is something that I could not find out there. That's why I created the program. But I did find enough to get started. And when I first started doing this, my very first deal, I kind of fumbled through because there was still some missing information. I needed to know what worked and what didn't work. So what you see again in the program and what I discuss on my channel is basically what I know to work, what I know to be true, and I was able to connect the dots from like real experiences from doing my own deals. Like, oh, this is what they mean by this. In the instructions, oh, this is what they mean by this. So it all kind of came together. So I do find, I do like that about bankruptcy unclaimed funds, is the information is out there to a certain degree, a lot easier than it is to do state funds, I found in my own personal experience. Another thing on there is that you can do the work without the help of an attorney. I have not needed to call a lawyer for anything, to be honest. No lawyers ever helped me with doing unclaimed funds. In the very beginning, when I was trying to get information and get a copy of a contract and do certain things, lawyers take a long time. It's like if you're not a current client or if you're not a paralegal, this is one of the things I do miss about being a paralegal and working directly under a lawyer. Now I do freelance work from time to time, but actually being in an office and working with attorneys has a plus because you have free legal advice. I mean, you're able to get information from them. And so that is helpful. But in doing the bankruptcy unclaimed funds, I have not needed to actually have an attorney to help me. So that's good to know. It should be reassuring for you that you really don't need one to help you because you can do it yourself. And again, the courts allow it. And also setting up an LLC, again, is something that you can do on your own. Depending on what state you're in, it's easy to just kind of log in and do it. There's information out there. Maryland was easy to do from home, online. I spoke to an actual business corporation attorney, and he was like, you know what, it's just you doing it. You can do this by yourself. He told me exactly where to go, and I didn't pay anything for that information. It's the only time that I really had to reach out to a lawyer and who gave me that advice, and it was free. So just let that be a note to you. You don't always need one, but I think setting up an LLC, if you have like a partnership or other people working with you, that's probably the only time for sure that you may need to call an attorney, is to help with the setup. And maybe if you run into a situation where you have a hearing and you're a little bit scared about that, you might want to hire an attorney to speak for you if you choose to. It's up to you. And maybe just going over the contracts. The contracts that I use, I put in the program and they work. Now, you may want to have an extra pair of eyes and to look at them if you wanted to, maybe just to put like maybe local rules or something in there that I overlooked. But they're pretty standard and basic on purpose so that I can use it in multiple states and districts. I haven't really had an issue with them. And the last thing that I wanted to go over is just you can work nationwide with bankruptcy unclaimed funds, which is what I like. I'm still on my quest to get a different deal in different districts, just to say, hey, I did it. You can do it too. I'm on my way. I've worked in not just in Maryland, but in other states in the deeper South, in the Midwest, in the Northeast. You can do it too. And that's one thing that I do like about working with bankruptcy unclaimed funds. I don't have to register my business in a different district. That's only on a state level when you're dealing with state funds. Bankruptcy unclaimed funds, I didn't have to do that. I don't have to register. I don't have to have a PI license. So again, the most difficult things are really just skip tracing and spending your time on doing this. You have to spend time to make it work, as I mentioned before. And so once you've gotten a handle on all those things, it will work for you. So I hope that this has given you a little bit more information. If you're new again, or if you needed some reminding that these can be difficult things and these are the easier sides, all that, it's good to kind of put things into perspective. If you have any questions, please email me at springsolutionsllc@gmail.com. If you're interested in the program, please click on the link in the description box. The main program is $750. Email me if you have any questions. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.